Welcome, students. We are going to discuss the first chapter of Beehive, that is the fun they had. This chapter is familiar to you. You know about this chapter, you have studied in your previous classes. So, before the beginning of this chapter, we will focus on the writer Isaac Asimov. The fun they had. This story has been written by Isaac Asimov. Now we will focus on about the author. Isaac Asimov was an American writer and professor of biochemistry at Boston University. He was known for his works of science fiction and popular science. Asimov was a prolific writer and wrote or edited more than 500 books. So, it is a brief introduction of Asimov, who was an American writer. He was also professor of biochemistry at Boston University. He was well known for his science fiction and popular sciences. He was born on 2nd January 1920 Petrovici, Russia. He died on 6 April 1992, Brooklyn, New York, United States. So, this is the birth and death of Asimov. Now, we focus on the famous work of Isaac Asimov. He wrote several stories. The Last Question, The Fun They Had. This is the well known work of Isaac Asimov. So, in this section, in this first slide, we have discussed about Isaac Asimov, who is the writer of The Fun They Had. Now, we will focus on the title of this chapter, The Fun They Had. In this chapter, the writer talks about the fun of the previous generation which they had. They refers to the people of previous generation. The chapter focuses on the enjoyment of the previous people when they used to go to school. Okay, so the fun they had. So here this title refers to the enjoyment of the previous generation. Okay, now we move towards the introduction of this chapter, the fun they had. We will focus on the introduction. See, this is a very light story, simple story, light story. It is set in the future. Where this story is set, it is set in the future. The poet is talking, or the poet is imagining about the future. It will make all of you love school. When we go through this story, we will come to the conclusion that what is the importance of school. Today, you see what is the condition of the world. We are suffering from COVID, and due to it, you see, the school has been closed, and now you can realize that you are missing this school, and your classes are going to be held through online mode. So, this was the imagination of Asimov. The time will come when we will remain at home and we will attend our classes from home. So, what he has imagined that is going to be true in the present time. So, you can think about the imagination of Asimov. So, the story is set in future and it will make you realize what is the importance of school. This story is regarding school life and how those children who do not go to school or who do not got to school, who had never faced the school, miss school. So it is regarding school life and how those children who do not got to school miss school. The setting of the story is in the future when perhaps there will be no school, no books. So the poet is thinking about the time when there will be no books, no school. Now, how those students will miss going to school and will feel that their ancestors, that is the present generation, you all had fun going to school. Means present generation is enjoying the school. But according to the writer, the students of the future will not enjoy the school life. We are enjoying the school life, but the time will come when the students will not enjoy the school life. They will miss it. They will miss the school. They will miss the school life. The time will come. Or had fun going to school, meeting, helping each other. This is happening in present time, but according to the poet, what will happen in the future? The students will be departed from the school, they will be departed from their friends, they will not get a chance to meet and discuss their problems, they will not get a chance to talk with their friends. The time will come according to the writer and the present situation is of same kind what writer has focused on. Okay, what the writer has focused on. In the end, we come to know that this is an imagination of a young girl named Margie who comes to know that their ancestors used to go to school. In the story, we will see the character Margie who imagined, okay, who thinks about her ancestors who used to go to school. All the children used to study together. She feels that they all had a lot of fun when they went to school. So, when we read the story, we feel that school life is very good, and we are fortunate that we have real schools where we go meet friends and get a chance to study together. So, this is the introduction of the fun they had. In this part, we especially focus on the school of the future where there will be no building, where there will be no meeting among students. Students will not come to school, they will miss their friends, they will not get a chance to study together. Okay, so this is all about this chapter. So remember, this story is set in future. The writer focuses on the students of the future, how they will miss the school life, they will miss the time to study together. Okay, they will miss the fun which we are enjoying. So this is the imagination of Asimov. So this is the introduction of the fun they had. Now We move to para number 1. Before it, there are some major characters in the story. First one is Margie, second Tommy, third County Inspector, and the mother of Margie and Tommy. Okay, these are the characters in the story, the fun they had. Margie, Tommy, County Inspector, and mother. See, pair number 1. Margie even wrote about it that night in her diary. So, what Margie was doing? Margie was writing a diary. Margie even wrote about it. It refers to the enjoyment of the present students. In her diary, she was writing one diary on the page headed 17 May 2157. So, in the opening of the story, we find that Margie was writing a diary, and on the page 17 May 2157, she wrote, "Today, Tommy found a real book." So, this is the thing which is happening in the story. Margie was writing her diary, and in her diary, she mentioned this statement: "Today, Tommy found a real book." Second, you see, it was very old book. Remember, Tommy had found a book. It was very old book. Margie's grandfather once said that when he was a little boy, Margie's grandfather said when he was a little boy, his grandfather told him that there was a time when all stories were printed on paper. This line clearly indicates that Tommy and Margie are away from the concept of real book. They have never seen the real book because they are habitual of reading telebooks. So Margie's grandfather told her that when he was little boy, when he was little, then his grandfather told him that there was a time when all stories were printed on paper. They turned the pages, Tommy and Margie turned the pages which were yellow and crinkly. Crinkly, you see what is the meaning of crinkly? With many folds or lines, something that is crushed. Okay, so they turned the pages which were yellow and crinkly, means the book is too old. The pages are yellow, it is crinkly, and it was awfully funny to read words that stood still instead of moving the way they were supposed to. As I told you, that Margie and Tommy were not habitual of reading real book. When they find the real book, they find that the words were not moving. They were still at its place. So this is something extraordinary for Tommy and Margie. The way they were supposed to on a screen. Meaning is this: Tommy and Margie both were making comparison between the real book and the book they were habitual of reading. They find that in the real book the words were not moving, but in their book the words are moving. Words can move. So this is the first difference which Tommy and Margie had found. So in this part we have seen that Margie was writing a diary, and on page 17 May 2157 she wrote that Tommy had found a real book, and it was very old, and Margie's grandfather told them that when he was little, his grandfather told him that there was a time when uh, stories were printed on paper. So this is something extraordinary for Tommy and Margie. And when they saw the book, they started making comparison between the real book and the book which they were habitual of reading. And they found that in real book the words are not moving, but in their book words can move. तो पैरा नंबर 1 में हम ये देखते हैं कि मार्जी जो है अपनी डायरी लिखती है और वो मेंशन करती है टॉमी एक बुक पाया जो कि रियल बुक है। इसके बाद मार्जी कहती है कि उसके दादा बताते हैं कि जब वो छोटे थे तो उनकी भी जो ग्रैंड फादर हैं उन्होंने बताया कि एक समय था जब बुक्स क्या होती थी, प्रिंटेड होती थी, स्टोरीज प्रिंटेड होती थी वो फॉर्म में। और टॉमी और मार्जी इसको जान करके बहुत ही आश्चर्यचकित होते हैं। दे वर एस्टोनिश्ड and they found that real book is quite different from their books. So this is the first paragraph we have seen. Now come to next one, paragraph 2. And then when they turned back to the page before, it had same words on it that it had when they read it in the first time. Okay, they have gone the first page, they turn it, then again when they come back they found that the words are still in their place. Tommy said, Gee, what a waste. This was the remark of Tommy. When you are through with the book, you just throw it away. I guess our television screen must have had a million books on it, and it is good for plenty more. I wouldn't throw it away. So this was the remark of Tommy. Tommy said this one, that what a waste it is. It is not useful. We have a lot of millions of books on our television screen, and it is good for plenty more. Okay, this was the remark of Tommy. But Margie said, No, I would not throw it away. Margie says, Same with mine also. Same with mine also. She was 11. So Margie was of 11 years old and had not seen as many telebooks as Tommy had. Tommy is bigger, and Tommy had seen a lot of telebooks in comparison to Margie. He was 13. So in this paragraph we have seen that what was the remark made by Tommy and what was the opinion of Margie regarding the book. And here we come to know what was the age of Margie and Tommy. Margie was of 11 years old and Tommy was of 13 years old. Okay, and both were seeing towards the real book. Okay, so this we have seen in pair number 2. Next we see pair number 3. She said, she means Margie said, where did you find it? It here refers to the real book. Where did you find it? It refers to real book. So simply Margie asked Tommy, where did you find it? In my house. He pointed without looking. So Tommy was not looking towards Margie. He said, okay, from this place I have found the real book. Because he was busy reading. He was reading the book. So that's why he did not look towards the place where he has found it. Simply he indicated that this is a place from where he had found the real book. In the attic. Attic, you see, attic means a space just below the roof. A space just below the roof used as a storeroom. So simply here we find the conversation took place between Margie and Tommy. Margie simply asked one question, where did you find the real book? Then Tommy said, in my house. When he replied, at that time he was reading the real book. What is it about? What is it about? This was the another question. He said, school. The book is about school. Simple meaning is this, that Tommy was reading a book which was about school. Margie was scornful. School, what is there to write about school? I hate school. So Margie said, okay, this is unpleasant. What one can write about school? I hate school. So this was the remark made by Margie. Margie said, no, I hate school. I do not like school. And what can be written on school? So here in this paragraph, we come to the conclusion that where the book was found, who found the real book, and what was about the book. So Tommy had found the book. Where did he find it? He found it in the house. And the book is about school. The book is about school. Then we see the reaction of Margie. Margie said, what one can write about school? It is a waste. I hate school. Now, in next paragraph 4, you see, Margie always hated school. But now she hated it more than ever. Why? What is the reason? Why did Margie hate school? See, the reason, the mechanical teacher had been giving her test after test in geography, and she had been doing worse and worse until her mother had shaken her head sorrowfully and sent for the county inspector. So here we see the reason why did Margie hate school. The reason is clear, that mechanical teacher had been giving her test after test in geography and she was doing worse and worse. That was the reason why Margie hated school. And her mother called county inspector to see the reason why Margie was doing worse and worse. Now here you will see how did county inspector look like. What is the physical appearance of county inspector? You see, he was a round little man with a red face and a whole box of tools with dials and wires. So this statement clearly indicates the appearance of county inspector. He was a round little man with a red face and a whole box of tools with dials and wires. He smiled at Margie and gave her an apple, then took the teacher apart. He separated the teacher, mechanical teacher. Margie had hoped he would not know how to put it together. Remember, Margie hated school. The reason is clear. And when county inspector came, at that time she hoped that he should not know how to merge mechanical teacher. Should not know how to put it together again. But he knew how all right. He knew how all right means. Here he refers to county inspector. And after an hour or so, there it was again large and black and ugly with a big screen on which all the lessons were shown and the questions were asked. So here in this paragraph, we have seen why did Margie hate school and what was the problem in mechanical teacher and why Margie was performing worse and worse. Who came to resolve the problem? County inspector had come to resolve the problem, and when he came, he gave one apple to Margie. Then he took the teacher apart and he started his job. So here you see that what was the problem of mechanical teacher, we came to know. Why did Margie hate the school? Okay, so this part we have discussed in this फर्स्ट सेक्शन ऑफ द फन दे हैड. तो इस पूरे चैप्टर जो है आपका फ्यूचर में सेट है और यहाँ पे जो मेन कैरेक्टर टॉमी है, मार्जी हैं, उसकी मदर हैं, काउंटी इंस्पेक्टर है। आज के सेक्शन में हम देखते हैं कि मार्जी क्या है, अपनी डायरी लिख रही होती है और उसमें मेंशन करती है कि इस डेट में टॉमी ने एक रियल बुक पाई है। और फिर भी कंपैरिजन करने लगते हैं रियल बुक और टेली बुक्स में, और टॉमी और मार्जी का मानना है कि टेली बुक ज़्यादा ही अच्छी है रियल बुक से। अंडरस्टैंड। इसके बाद जो है दादा उनके कहते हैं, वो बताते हैं कि एक समय था जबकि स्टोरीज जो है पेज पे प्रिंटेड हुआ करती थी और हम लोग पढ़ते थे। इस पे टॉमी और मार्जी का रिमार्क हम देखते हैं। इसके बाद हम देखते हैं कि मार्जी पूछती है कि टॉमी को ये बुक कहाँ मिली। टॉमी बताता है इन द हाउस। इसके बाद पूछते हैं कि बुक किसके बारे में है, तो बुक जो है स्कूल के बारे में है। मार्जी कहती है कि स्कूल के बारे में कुछ भी नहीं लिखा जा सकता है। वो कहते हैं कि वो स्कूल को हेट करती हैं। तो हेट करने का कारण क्या था कि मैकेनिकल टीचर ज्योग्राफी सेक्टर या ज्योग्राफी में उसे वर्क पे वर्क दिया जा रहा था, टेस्ट पे टेस्ट दिया जा रहा था, वो बेकार से बेकार किया जा रही थी। इसी बीच काउंटी इंस्पेक्टर को बुलाया जाता है और वो अपना काम करता है। सो दिस इज़ द होल पार्ट विच वी हैव डिस्कस्ड टुडे। ओके, ओके, थैंक यू।